Philadelphia, Channel 18. That's wrestling. That's right, y'all. That's wrestling. One time for your mind. The ultimate Monday night pre-wrestling show. Right here on Philadelphia, Channel 18. Every Monday night at 7 p.m. Shut. Yeah. Y'all ready? That's wrestling.
Back in January of 1998, I had just started working for the Buffalo Public Access television system about a month earlier in December of 1997. And I do, in fact, remember this particular day. It was, like I said, it was early January of 1998. Greg had come up to the station along with a friend of his by the name of Galen Hill. And they were supposed to be shooting a show in the studio when we had public access over at 101 LaSalle Avenue. And initially, Carl Dukes, who was also at the time the operations director, he was originally supposed to be helping them out, but he got tied up with something, I remember. And he asked me if I would go and help the two of them out in the studio. So, okay, cool, no problem. We can handle that. So I went in there. Greg told me that they were going to be, their show was going to be like a television show about professional wrestling. And that's pretty much what they were going to talk about. So they're in the studio. I'm in the control room, directing and technical directing, switching between the cameras. I'm sure some footage exists of that somewhere. I don't have it in my library. I'm sure he probably still has it. But one of the things that I can recall was that when they started doing, before they started doing on camera with the show, I remember Greg had I distinctly remember him having a ski mask on. I don't know. Actually, the show was not called originally That's Wrestling. The original name that he called it escapes me at this time, but it was not That's Wrestling originally. And they just, him and Galen just sat at the round table for about maybe an hour, just talking about the WWE and WCW. And that was, like I said, that was in early January of 1998, and they wouldn't shoot another show until a year later. Yeah. Come on. Yeah. That's wrestling. Yeah. Come on. Y'all ready? I'm ready. Y'all ready? Here we go.
Counting. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to Wrestling Wrap Up. I'm your host, Boogie Love.
And I'm G-Money.
Word. We up in here chilling today. This is the premiere show of Wrestling Wrap Up. As you all may know, some may not know. Your first installment here. And we're just going to generally talk about what's going on in the land of professional wrestling today, in the WWF, ECW, WCW, MCW, and some other things in wrestling in the past, present, future. Today's show, we're going to talk about mainly what's been going on in the last couple of weeks in the big wrestling organizations. First off, we'll start off with the WCW. And first thing I want to talk about in the WCW is the Sting Hogan situation. Where's it going to go, and what's the future of Hulk Hogan? What do you think about that?
Well, personally, I think that the Sting Hogan situation is kind of whack, because if anybody saw Starrcade, you know that Hogan got the fair count of the 1, 2, 3.
Exactly.
So, but in WCW, they tried to play it off like Hogan didn't get the count and that the NWO cheated and this and that. So they're going to have a rematch for the title at Super Brawl, which is held up at the moment.
Okay. I don't know. This title hold up in WCW, it could go a lot of different ways. Because, I mean, you got some people that's there now, so you won't know exactly who the title's going to go to, because you have Bret Hart, you have Hogan, you have Sting. Who else will be in the running? Do you think Piper might even have a chance for the belt now, since he's trying to filter his way back into the WCW again?
Well, the thing is, right now at Super Brawl, the bout is going to be between Hulk Hogan and Sting, and the person who wins the bout will be the WCW champion. So it's basically between those two, and I think the Sting's going to win the title. I think basically what they're doing is that they're having the rematch because they messed up the first time. The referee was supposed to make a fast count, but he didn't. It was a regular count. Everybody who saw it knows that it was a regular count. So to make Sting a valid champion, they need to have Sting beat Hogan fairly. Since they took Sting out of wrestling like for a whole year, and for him to come back and win the title in that controversy, it was messed up like for the whole idea or what they was trying to do with Sting's character.
Yeah, also with Sting's character, I don't think it's gonna last too long. They're gonna have to turn it a little bit somewhere down the line, because it's like, where is it going? I mean, okay, it was cool at first to see him come down from the ceiling the first 1,000 times or so, but now it's like, what? It's boring, you know. And he comes out there and starts some stuff with Hogan, and that's it. So, I mean, I don't know. They're gonna have to do something with Sting's character within the next couple of months. Let's move on in WCW right quick. Dusty Rhodes, his introduction back to the square circle, I guess I could say, of talking his mystical lingo again.
He's funky like a monkey.
Yeah.
Well,
break that down to me right quick. What do you think about that, man?
I really don't have an opinion on the Dusty Rhodes situation because I don't know why they made him part of the NWO. At first, I thought it was kind of corny, but I saw a couple of his interviews and he seems all right. He's like the most realistic member in the group to me.
Mm-hmm. Okay, why would you say he's the most realistic member?
Well, the rest of them, they come out, they try to be comedians, like Kevin Nash. He's like the real funny one. They always telling these jokes and this and that. Dusty Rhodes comes out, you know, he talks about the powers that be, the big wigs and stuff like that. He don't come out there and try to be a comedian. He's just like, it's like this, and that, you know?
Okay. Well, where do you think it's gonna go? I mean, me personally, I think the whole Dusty Rhodes thing, it's an in and out type of situation. I'm just thinking here, just tripping out right quick. What we gonna do right now, we're gonna cut to a commercial. And we'll be back with you in a second. I'm bugging here. So what? This is the first show, everybody. Be right back to you in a minute. All right, we're back with more wrestling wrap up. It's your man Boogie Love back on the scene with my man G-Money over here to the side. We left off, we were talking about Dusty Rhodes and how I felt about that whole situation, okay? Basically, it's like this. It's a dead issue. You know, Dusty's here, and, you know, he's one of those type of people like Piper where he could come in and out the organization whenever he feel like.
I think, too, that he might come back and wrestle because, like, it seemed like they setting up a situation now. Like, you know, he came back. He was supposed to be Larry Zbyszko's second in Super Brawl.
Okay.
But then he ripped open his shirt like Superman and had the big NWO sign. So he might come back and he might wrestle a couple of matches because, you know, he's going to be jumping in Scott Hall's matches and stuff like that, like he did the other day when Scott Hall wrestled Disco Inferno. And Disco Inferno would have beat Scott Hall instead of Dusty Rhodes putting him out of the ring. So they might like have a special event where Dusty Rhodes come back and he like team up with Scott Hall or whatever and wrestle again.
Okay. Well, we have to remember also he has a quote unquote, I don't know if it's a work of the wrestling industry, but he has a permanent injury, Dusty Rhodes. What was the permanent? You might give me more insight on that.
I don't know what Dusty Rhodes' injury was.
Okay. Well, moving on. That's pretty much it that's really happening right now that I can see in the NWO and the whole WCW situation. Anything that you can think of that's going on there that's worth talking about?
Well, the situation right now with the split in the NWO, because last year they had the split, it was going to be like Kevin Nash and Hulk Hogan, but right now you got Hulk Hogan and Nash working together. Nash is getting fined for power bombing people. They banned the power bomb, and the fine is like $5,000. They upped it to $15,000. So now Nash says he doesn't care, and that Hulk Hogan to pay the fines for him. Now you know that situation is going to go somewhere because Hulk Hogan isn't going to pay all these fines forever, or Hollywood Hogan, or whatever you want to call himself. And then you have this situation with the Macho Man Randy Savage, who's the lone wolf in the NWO.
Okay.
So I don't think he's going to be in the NWO much longer either. He'll probably go back to getting beat up every week like he did before he joined the NWO. And then you have the Scott Hall situation on top of that, where he feels that he should have had the title shot because he won the Battle Royal, the Super Brawl back in November, not Super Brawl, World War III back in November, and the winner of that was supposed to get the title match at Super Brawl.
Okay.
See, but since there's no world champion, Piper said that Scott Hall cannot have his title match at Super Brawl since there's no champion.
Okay.
See, but Scott Hall got a problem with that, and he don't know who to take it out on. He said either Piper, Hogan, or Sting.
Okay.
So that's another possible conflict within the NWO.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's enough right now with WCW. Let's move on to ECW. You know, ECW has the weirdest time schedule here in the Buffalo, Western New York area. It seems like it comes on when it want to come on. The only definite time we really got on it is what day is that? That's Friday night at 2 in the morning, Saturday morning, 2 in the morning.
It's the best Saturday morning at 8 o'clock.
Yeah, it comes on at 8 o'clock also Saturday morning. So people remember that. The people that don't catch ECW on the Friday night at 2 a.m., you can catch it Saturday morning at 8 a.m. on Empire Sports Network. The biggest thing I can see happening over there right now is the return of Flash Funk, a.k.a. Tuko Scorpio. He's back in the business right now over there, and I guess he's coming back to his origination of his, slick wrestling moves, because they kind of toned him down. I won't even say kind of, they toned him down a lot in the WWF. So what's your thoughts on him coming back to the ECW, and also how they toned him down in WWF?
Well, personally, I think Flash Funk need to go anywhere besides WWF because they totally crushed his character. He came out at first looking like a pimp with some funkettes and stuff like that. He come out and get beat up every week, do this little dance, and it's a bunch of crap. But actually, Flash Funk, also known as Tuko Scorpio, he's a very good wrestler though, And I think he'll do pretty well there. I think he was the ECW television champion before.
Yeah, he did hold a title. So now the way the storyline is going in ECW is, it looks as if Flash Funk is cool. I guess I could say it like that. It's cool with Taz right now. Because like one of the wrestlers from WWF, I think it was LaFon, came near and tried to have a little mix up with him. So
yeah, I heard about that.
And he was in the ring with Taz, and Taz kind of embraced him, coming back to the ECW. Because you remember when he left, he wasn't supposed to come back. He was supposed to never come back.
He was on Monday Night Raw yesterday, though.
Yeah, he was, but he wasn't supposed to come back to ECW. Because that last match he had was supposed to be his final match in ECW. I can't quite remember who it was with. It might have been with Taz or Shane Douglas, but anyway, that's what went down with that. So he's back. They also have something going on there with the return of El Snow with the "Give Me Some Head," if you already may have seen it, where he has a mannequin's
shaking
the head and everything.
And it's
Everybody
supposed to
slapping the head. So it's like, give me some head, hey. That's what's going on with that there. ECW's coming along. It's becoming a more and more big league, but what I'm wondering is, with the violence and the graphic violence and the language that ECW hold them from becoming a WCW or a WWF? Do you think Paulie Dangerously, a.k.a. Paul Heyman, will have a problem with that?
Well, I think personally, like ECW, the big problem that they would have is if they're too violent, because you really got to go for that family entertainment thing. And right now, like, busting chairs over people's heads, like, parents wouldn't want to take their kids to see something like that. Or like, if you go to an ECW event, the wrestlers are always swearing, picking up the microphone. Like, I remember when Rick Rude was here last time, and he was like, F you this and F you that. They can't go on television and just do that, even though the WWF is becoming more like ECW in the way that it handles its business.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think it could survive because you have to remember, before Hulk Hogan, because I do believe he made what wrestling is today, before it became what it is today, it was gory to an extent the way ECW is now. Mm-hmm. You know, you talking to small studios like what we're in right now, they were wrestling in, and they had Saturday shows and so on and so forth. So ECW, I think they will survive, you know, through this thing. And also, what they're doing, it will force the WCW and WWF to come to what they're doing, come back to the original form what wrestling was a long time ago, 20 years ago. So, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. I agree with that.
Now we're gonna look at the WWF and what's going on over there. Recently, they had the situation with the garbage dumpster. And you're talking about Chainsaw Charlie, a.k.a. Terry Funk, and Cactus Jack.
A.k.a. Mankind, a.k.a. Dude Love, a.k.a. Mick Foley.
Whatever you want to call him. He has so many names. What do you think about that whole situation with those? I mean, I think it was an excellent plug for the WWF. Kudos to Vince McMahon for bringing some real wrestlers in there, finally spending the money and letting them do what they're known for doing best. Where do you think that's going to go, that whole situation with those two? Are they going to last in the WWF?
Well, right now what I see happening is that Cactus Jack and Terry Funk, they're going to become a good tag team. They'll probably wrestle the New Age Outlaws at WrestleMania for the tag team championship. The only problem that I have with this is that the garbage cans don't look real enough. They look too soft. Like, they've been real easy if you crash one of those things over people's head. The dumpster situation was pretty interesting, though. I think it could have been done a little better than it was, but it was all around okay for the storyline that they're trying to present right now.
Okay. Yeah, I would think so. The dumpster situation, it was a pretty good working by the WWF. The best part of that whole Raw, I think, would be the situation where Cactus Jack jumped off the Titantron into the dumpster. They need more stuff like that. That's what makes people go crazy, because if you notice and listen to the crowd when that happened, I mean, the crowd went crazy.
Yeah, except when you do that, don't have a camera inside the dumpster so you can see all this styrofoam and stuff that they landing on. Like, what is all that styrofoam doing in the garbage can, you know? Except to pad the landing, which everybody knows. So you don't want to show that part. If you wanted to look real, don't show the inside of the dumpster.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, you know, it's the WWF, you know. Vince McMahon did tell us before the year ended, the year 1997 ended, that there would be changes in the WWF. You know, it will be more of a Raw, per se, show. And I guess that's what we're getting right now, you know, for the start of the year. And then I guess it'll just get wilder as the year goes on.
Well, some footage I would like to see is Vince McMahon getting his eye dotted by Bret Hart after the Survivor Series. That'd be some raw footage right there.
Okay, do we have that footage?
No.
Okay. Oh, well.
That's why I said I would like to see it.
Well, it's something we're going to have to get our hands on. And also for all you viewers out there, if you have a match that you would like to see us show here on Wrestling Wrap Up, drop us a line at 716-629-7886, and we'll try to get it on for you, because in the coming weeks we do have more wrestling matches coming. How many minutes are we at right now? Anybody know around here?
16.
Okay, we're at 16 minutes or so. You know, give us some matches to play on the air here. You know, one of the ones we're going to highlight is Brian Pillman versus Stone Cold Steve Austin, the late, great Brian Pillman, who passed away a few months ago. Any matches you can think of that we could highlight here and give the people of Buffalo?
Well, there's many matches that we can highlight, but next week's show, I know we're doing on Brian Pillman. We'll be highlighting the Brian Pillman match against Stone Cold Steve Austin from the summer of 1997. Also, the Clash of Champions match from 1989 when Brian Pillman faced Lex Luger for the United States Championship. Okay. And we also have a good match between Brian Pillman and the Nature Boy Ric Flair from 1990.
Okay, these are some excellent matches. Also, we're gonna have a local wrestler on the show in the near future. thought I might just want to tell you about that, Mr. Big Stuff. I know everybody out there see Mr. Big Stuff at the wrestling matches. The big guy walking around with the shirt that says what? Mr. Big Stuff on it. So we're going to have him on here. What's up, Mr. Big Stuff, if you're out there? He's one of the people that we always see backstage at the wrestling matches and everywhere else. It's a new wrestling organization on the scene. We'll get back to WWF in a minute. Music City Wrestling. As we all may know, some may not know, USWA down in Nashville, Tennessee did fold. So everybody pretty much from that organization went over to Music City Wrestling. And the big star over there is Adrian Street. Is that his name? Mm-hmm. From what I see, it's up and coming. You know, it's in its early stages, and I think it has potential. They have a tape for sale right now, which is like a scaffold match and a ladder match. Some unknown wrestlers who I never really seen before, but
just because the wrestlers are unknown doesn't mean that the matches aren't good. Because a lot of today's wrestlers who are overlooked are tomorrow's superstars. Because a lot of people would have never thought that Shawn Michaels would be as big as he was, and would be the World Wrestling Federation champion right now, or Stone Cold Steve Austin for that matter.
Yeah, Stone Cold. I mean, you look at Shawn Michaels from back in the day when he was in AWA. Come on, who would think that this man would be a heavyweight champion of the world? This little guy, and he bulked up, and look where he's at now. Same thing with Stone Cold Steve Austin. And then it's people also out there in wrestling. Speaking of people that blew up from nothing, let's talk about somebody that was something and is trying to be something right now, which I don't think will work. And if anybody's out there from WCW listening, please can the ideal. Rick Martell. Why? Just why? What the hell is they bringing Rick Martell back in wrestling for? I mean, it's a done deal. The people are not into it, from what I can see. I mean, and so he's feuding now to get the belt from this guy from
Booker T.
Yeah, Booker T. What you think about that, man? This whole Rick Martell comeback thing.
Well,
also Marty Jannetty, that's a joke too.
WCW is such a big federation, though. Like, you got the top stars that you see on Monday Nitro, like Hulk Hogan and Sting and Flair. Then you watch the Saturday morning shows, and you got like the minute stars like Hacksaw Jim Duggan is somebody else who I wish would just disappear. And that's probably where Rick Martell is going to end up at. See, back in the day, Rick Martell was the big star. He was the AWA World Champion when the AWA was something. He came to the WWF, was part of the Can-Am connection with Tom Zink. And he started to fade after that. He started getting older. He became the model, which was probably his last hurrah. Now he's back, and he's like a piece of garbage in the WCW. Mm-hmm. And probably what eventually is going to happen is that he's going to become a bad guy. Like, I think might happen with Bret Hart, too, because if the fans don't take on to him like they want him to, then he'll become a bad guy, because they're going to change his character. Like, you notice they changed Chris Jericho character, and they changed Alex Wright character, because they're all good, nice guys and stuff like that. And they come out and the people are like,
it's nothing to
stuff,
it.
you know.
It's a few wrestlers out there like that. I mean, okay, like we just said, let's calm down, everybody. Get your pen and paper out. Rick Martell, number 1. Number 2, Marty Jannetty.
And Hacksaw Jim Duggan, the champion.
Hacksaw Jim Duggan, why him? Who else we got here? Ray Traylor. He's a good wrestler. As far as being out there in
you talking about Ray Traylor?
Yeah, in the world of wrestling as a one-man gang.
Leather pants have to go. He was a big boss man.
Yeah. Yeah, he was the big boss man?
Yeah.
I thought it was a one-man gang.
No, he was a big boss man.
God. Excuse me, everybody. I get the two mixed up all the time. But hold that thought right quick. We're going to go to another spot right quick. For which league, I don't know. You'll see it when it come on. But stay in your chair. Don't turn the channel. We'll be right back to you in 1 minute. All right, everybody. We're back. Hope you enjoyed the spot right there, whatever it was. And when we left off, we were talking about Ray Traylor. And what was it what you said about Ray Traylor? That should go first about his character?
Well, his pants should go. The green leather pants that look like trash bags, those need to go. Nobody cares about Ray Traylor. His name sucks. His character sucks. He was better as the Big Boss Man and Big Bubba Rogers when he first came into wrestling.
Okay, I remember that.
Right now, they have a lot of wrestlers who really don't have any purpose. You know, like, you watch wrestling, you don't know why these characters are there, like Lex Luger. Nobody knows where Lex Luger is going. Lex Luger is not going to be the world champion. I don't think he's going to be the United States champion. He's just a wrestler that's there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think over time, WCW is going to get tired of paying all of these extra wrestlers money
Yeah.
that they don't need, and the WWF might be able to pick up some talent that they really need.
Like right now, I think it's just a matter of it being a showboat thing with Eric Bischoff and all the big people over there and Turner Entertainment and the CNN Tower. They have the money. They have the money, people, to go out there and buy any talent they want to buy. So like you said, this will become a thing of the past in a few years. Hey, maybe before the year over, when they'll stop spending money on all this unnecessary talent. You understand? So, WCW, I hope in the near future that they just stop putting money into these garbage characters. Like, the biggest waste of money, I think, of all time in promotion, there you have it, people, Glacier. We spent the whole spring and summer of '97 watching these commercials, man.
Glacier is coming, Glacier is coming. You see Glacier 3 times and you don't see him again. He come in. I think what they were trying to do is like Mortal Kombat is something that's like real popular and that they know that younger people are into. So they made Glacier, and Glacier is a kind of Mortal Kombat character. But nobody really caught on to him, nobody cared. He comes out to wrestling and do karate, but nobody cared about it because like his movements were slow. Wrestling is more fast-paced.
Fast-paced, exactly.
You know?
I mean, I think it would have even worked better if they were to take that money, what they put into Glacier, and put it into somebody like a Rey Mysterio. Think about that.
Like, what do you mean?
As far as just the glamour and glitz of Glacier, what it was, he's supposed to be this big, slow-kicking karate guy. Why? He was garbage. And then they put the black guy with him. What was his name?
They call him the cat Ernest Miller.
What was his purpose? He's another piece of garbage where somebody had some extra money in the organization and spent it. The money should not have been spent with him, but that's what they want to do, they can do.
Well, in a way, I can understand why they get somebody like Ernest Miller. It's like the same reason you would get a Mike Tyson or a Reggie White. It's like if you get these people from different sports, and Dennis Rodman, you get these people from different sports into wrestling. Maybe you'll get a basketball fan who doesn't watch wrestling to watch wrestling, or a fan who watches kickboxing to watch wrestling because they're there. They'll watch wrestling to watch the character. They're watching what Dennis Rodman is doing, you know.
The question is, who the hell is Ernest Miller?
Well,
I mean, really think about it. I mean, basketball, professional wrestling, boxing, hockey. I mean, he has a big, giant following. But kickboxing, I mean, come on. We know it. Not that many people follow kickboxing. People do follow it just like they follow anything else like ceramics or whatever, but who the hell is Ernest Miller? The average Joe wouldn't have heard about Ernest Miller the way he would have heard of a Michael Jordan or a Mike Tyson or a Wayne Gretzky or something like that. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But, you know, anyway, the hell with him. Right now, I want to ask you this. Who do you think is the biggest organization out there in the world of wrestling?
Well, undoubtedly right now, the biggest wrestling organization is WCW.
Well, let me rephrase that question. Who's the biggest organization and which one is the best organization?
Well, like I said, WCW is the biggest organization, and it's hard to say who is the best organization because from week to week it varies. Right now, I like the WWF. ECW is all right. WCW is kind of boring sometimes because the same thing happened. The NWO come out at the end of every show.
Or Sting come from the ceiling.
Yeah, Sting come from the ceiling and beat up everybody like he's Superman or something like that.
Right now, personally, I would say that WWF will have to be one of my personal favorites. That's just a quote from me. I mean, you guys out there may think differently, but I think WCW it lacks a lot. You know, it's real repetitious in what goes on there. You pretty much know what's going to happen in the show every week. You got the Thunder, and you got the Nitro, and you got the Saturday show and the Sunday. You pretty much know what's going to happen every week. So it kind of bores me. Like the other night I was looking at Raw, and I found myself staying on that channel the whole night. I didn't really pay too much mind to WCW because it doesn't have that edge anymore to put any energy meaning to turn back, you know. It's like it's boring now. So, I mean, personally, I think WWF is happening. ECW is happening also, as usual, because this is Extreme Championship Wrestling. And another thing, too, Buffalo, ECW will be back sometime this year. It's a guarantee. They love the way that Buffalo is supporting the organization. Also, WCW, of course, they were happy with the way the Nitro turned out.
And they'll return on June the 12th, my birthday, for the Elio Apollo Memorial event, which they have once a year.
Okay. And also, I want to make a note that the funds for the Elio Apollo event this year, part of the proceeds will go towards the Jim Kelly's son, his fund, the
Hunter.
The Help for Hunter fund. So it's a worthwhile cause. Everybody go check it out. Last year we went. Who was there? We had Dory Funk and Greg Valentine in the tag team match, and you had people there. I think Jack Briscoe was there. Macho Man was there, and his father. There's a couple of old school wrestling cats there. Arnie Ladd was there. It was a pretty interesting event. Nothing like the first year though, when we had Ric Flair come out, his first time coming to Buffalo in a long time. Another point I wanted to make is that Nitro was one of our first television tapings within the city of Buffalo in a long time, as far as a major league. I mean, we had ECW come 3 times last year, which was very good for the city and everything. That was the first time WCW came here and did a taping that I know of. Last major taping we had in the city of Buffalo was like in 86 or was it 87?
It was June 2nd, 1987, and that's when the Honky Tonk Man won the Intercontinental Championship from Ricky the Dragon Steamboat.
And that was in the Buffalo Memorial Auditorium, and if I'm not mistaken, they recorded 2 shows that evening. That was was like Superstars of Wrestling and something else.
Right.
So that was a sold-out show, and Hogan came. I mean, he got more play when he came that time to Buffalo, because this time when he came out with WCW, it was kind of weak to me, because he just kind of just walked out there. Nobody really knew he was coming out. I wanted the big entrance for Hogan in Buffalo, but
that's what I noticed everybody was saying too. Like, nobody knew that Hulk Hogan was there until the end of Nitro. They were saying that they didn't think he was going to be there. Yeah. To me, it was basically an all right show. It was basically how Monday Nitro go. Monday Nitro was like lagging a little bit. Wrestling really relies on the unpredictability of it. If you can guess what's going to happen in wrestling, then you really don't want to watch it. And that's what's happening with WCW right now.
Yeah, I would think the same thing, because like I said, the other evening I was looking at Raw, and I just stayed there, because it's always a mystery. And another interesting point with WWF right now is you see Vince McMahon getting more and more involved with the show. He's Mr. Stoneface now. It's like he wants to jump in there and cuss out Stone Cold, different things. So I'm glad he's making that move now. He's coming out. He's more and more coming out of that one-sidedness that we know Vince McMahon to be in for years. The good guy, the American apple pie and baseball type of American guy. So he's switching up, thank God.
I'm wondering what made him decide to do that. Because like you have Eric Bischoff, he became part of the NWO. Maybe that's why Vince McMahon is doing that. Maybe because Vince McMahon always tried to act like he was with the fans and that he was a fan favorite announcer, but nobody really liked him. And if you notice, Vince McMahon hasn't commentated on the WWF Raw since the incident at the Survivor Series with Bret the Hitman Hart, which was a very controversial match, as anybody who saw it know, because Bret Hart, it didn't seem like he submitted in the sharpshooter, and reports say that Vince McMahon came out and told the referee to end the match. The Bret Hart never submitted. The Shawn Michaels never really became the World Wrestling Federation champion. That's a big controversy right there, whether Bret Hart submitted or not. And it was reported in magazines that afterwards that Bret Hart and Vince McMahon had altercation in the locker room. And it's not like one of these things in wrestling where it's set up for the public to see.
Yeah.
It's something that really happened because Bret Hart felt that Vince McMahon did him wrong.
Yeah, that whole situation right there was kind of funny. It was an excellent way to work his way out, I guess, into the WCW. What do you think about this whole Mike Tyson thing that's going on now? Mike Tyson, WrestleMania 14, March 29th. What do you think about that? I mean, what's your views on Mike coming in? What do you think Mike is going to do?
Well, my personal view is this, I like Mike Tyson, but I prefer not to see Mike Tyson wrestle Stone Cold Steve Austin. Stone Cold Steve Austin won the 1998 Royal Rumble. He's supposed to wrestle Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 14 for the World Wrestling Federation Championship. I would rather see Stone Cold wrestle Shawn Michaels than see Stone Cold take on Mike Tyson, even though this is a good move for the WWF, because Mike Tyson will bring in sales. They said that WrestleMania is sold out in 90 seconds. So it's a good move business-wise, but me as a wrestling fan, I really don't care to see Mike Tyson in the ring in a wrestling capacity because I never really cared for people who just come in the sport for a second and come in for a wrestling match, because the matches are really whack. The people don't really seem like they know what they're doing. Some people don't have respect for professional wrestling, but it takes time to learn these moves, and you can tell when an amateur gets into the ring.
Exactly.
Like the match last year at, I forgot what it was, when Steve Mongo McMichael wrestled Reggie White, and you could see that Reggie White was real clumsy and uncoordinated because he's not used to the stuff that goes on in the wrestling ring.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel the same way. Basically, I have to agree with you. Mike Tyson, my views on Mike coming to the WWF. Well, first of all, like you said before, it's an excellent work of promotions for the league. But I would really like to see Stone Cold fight Shawn Michaels in WrestleMania 14. Because it's something that needs to happen for the league. But Mike Tyson, it would be good for him to be there at the same time. I mean, I don't know, as a host or a referee or what have you, but I would not want to see him wrestle. Another thing also, people, is this isn't the first time that a real boxer has came into professional wrestling. You have to remember that back in, I believe it was the early 80s or the late 70s, we had Gorilla Monsoon and Muhammad Ali.
It was Gorilla Monsoon?
Yes, I remember seeing this. It was Gorilla Monsoon and Muhammad Ali.
I remember, too, Muhammad Ali and Antonio Inko, who is Inikio, I believe, who is a popular wrestler in Japan, and I believe it was Muhammad Ali and Andre the Giant, too, in the late 70s. So Ali has done this a couple of times.
Yeah. He was feuding with different wrestlers, back then, chasing them around the ring and everything, but nothing really solid as a professional wrestler really happened with Muhammad Ali being in the wrestling business. So, I mean, I guess it's cool to get more people to watch. Me personally, when I first got into professional wrestling, I was looking at the WWF before I was looking at anything else. And it kind of hurt me when the WWF fell, after Hogan left, and it was just in a slump. And they tried everything, the new generation, and nothing really worked. So hopefully this will bring people back to watching WWF. And after Mike Tyson is there, hopefully it's something to keep the people there, viewers there watching the league. You understand what I'm saying? And also the wrestlers too. So I mean, that's that with that. We got coming up March. You know the date. Better than I do.
For the event that WWF ring in March 5th?
It's a Sunday. Let's check that date real quick. Sure it's not? It's March 8th. March 8th. March 8th. March 8th is the date in the ads. March 8th, the road to WrestleMania will be right here in Buffalo at the Marine Midland Arena, 5 p.m. start. That's where you're getting the 5th from, the 5 p.m. start. That's a Sunday evening, everybody. You should come out and check that event out. It's supposed to be some pretty big cards there. You're going to have Cactus Jack there. You're going to have Terry Funk there. You're gonna have Stone Cold there. The Road Warriors will be there.
The Generation X.
That's what I like to call them, Road Warriors. Heck with this Legion of Doom stuff. But they're gonna be there, and it's gonna be a pretty good evening, I think. It's not gonna be a TV match. Why WWF hasn't brought a Raw here yet, I don't know.
Well, you know, they was originally scheduled to bring a Raw on September 22nd, but they took that and moved it to Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, so, I mean, that is for that. So, we need to get a Raw here in the Buffalo area to get that happening. I mean, the television taping of Nitro was a very exciting event. We were there. We were backstage. You know, we mingled with a couple of wrestlers and different things. It was just a very interesting evening. And well, you know who I seen when I was backstage?
Who?
I seen the Red Rooster. Remember him? Cock-a-doodle-doo! He be in WWF, so he's like I guess he's like a big executive in WCW now. He was there, and Roadblock was there, who's originally from Rochester. He didn't wrestle, but he was there. A couple other athletes. We have a couple wrestlers from the Buffalo area in professional wrestling. We have Mark Mero. And they got Lex Luger.
Mikey Whipwreck. Lex Luger is from Orchard Park.
So, what do you think about this whole, speaking of Mark Mero, what do you think about this whole thing with him? How's his character coming along? And do you think it's a loss there and it's something that's going to die out real soon? This whole feud thing with him and his girl, Sable.
Well, Wild Man Mark Mero, he really, anything he do right now would be all right. Because the Johnny B. Bad thing really wasn't working. But it was better than when he's Marvelous Mark Mero now. So it's better than when he was Wild Man Mark Mero, because he really wasn't that good. I find the situation interesting with him and Sable, because now he's like more aggressive and he doesn't seem so, I don't know. So like when he was Johnny B. Bad, his character was kind of weak then, but now he's like more forceful and aggressive when he's in the ring. His personality is better now that he's Marvelous Mark Mero. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, me personally, he's always been a pretty good technical wrestler. And this is a good edge for him as a professional wrestler coming up in the WWF. This is a good edge for his career, I think, for him to turn to the bad guy type of character. So I think it's a good working for him. Lex Luger, another local one. You know, his character, me personally, isn't a loss right now. I don't know how you feel about that. What do you think about that, man?
Well, Lex Luger, back in the day, he used to be my favorite wrestler. I don't know why. His interview, he has no interview skills. His interview skills really suck. But,
just like the way you was just talking.
Okay, no, but Lex Luger, when he was a bad guy, Lex Luger is one of those characters like Roddy Piper and like Ric Flair and like Randy Savage, who is better off as a bad guy. That's where his strength is at. Lex Luger is a good guy. He's real plain and vanilla. He's not somebody you really want to watch. Because he doesn't have anything to say. And in WCW right now, the big heroes are Sting and Diamond Dallas Page. And Lex Luger, to me right now, he's lost in the shuffle of all the big talent that's in WCW right now.
Okay. Well, everybody, we're going to take another break right now. Remember, you're tuned in to Wrestling Wrap-Up right here on BCTV Channel 18. We're going to be back with you in 1 minute after this break. All right, everybody, we're back with more Wrestling Wrap-Up with your man, Boogie Love on the set.
G-Money.
Yeah. But we got 15 minutes left in the show here, and these last couple minutes we wanted to discuss the strengths and the weaknesses of our wrestling organizations that's among us, our top three, ECW, WWF, and WCW. We're going to start with WWF, because I guess I could say I'm once again a WWF head. What's your views on WWF, strengths and weaknesses? What's good about it? What's bad about it?
Well, one bad thing about the WWF is that they don't have the Ultimate Warrior anymore. And the Ultimate Warrior is a big plus in any federation, but nobody knows where he's at right now. We know that the Ultimate Warrior has gyms, wrestling schools. He has his own comic book.
That's so, and the comic book situation was the last place where the Ultimate Warrior was spotted. Everybody, he somewhere off from New York City, somewhere up near Long Island or wherever. He had a signing for his comic book.
I didn't know about that.
This was in PWI magazine a few months back. You people out there that have PWI, check it out, look for it. He was having a signing for his wrestling magazine, and one of the photographers was there, and they did take pictures of him. And he was supposed to have went to a local independent promotion match that night to check it out, but they never stated whether or not he went. But he's still around. The Ultimate Warrior is still around here, so hopefully we will get the chance to see him in WWF, and that would be a great strength to Vince McMahon and his organization, but he says he doubts the Ultimate Warrior will ever come back. And the Warrior himself said that he will never wrestle in another federation. He said the WWF is where the Ultimate Warrior was born, and that's where the Ultimate Warrior was saved. But Bret Hart also said the same thing, that he would never wrestle in another company. Exactly.
But a year later, Bret Hart is in WCW. Mm-hmm. And I think if there's enough money, then the Warrior may come back.
Okay.
But a big plus for the WWF is, of course, Stone Cold Steve Austin and Shawn Michaels. Hunter Hearst Helmsley, he's coming up a little bit because before his character was kind of weak to me. But him working with DX, his character is developing more now than it has before. So I think putting him with Shawn Michaels was a good thing for his career.
Mm-hmm. Okay, what do you think the weakness of the WWF is currently?
Well, one big weakness of the WWF is the tag team situation. They don't have any tag teams. It's been a long time since the WWF had any real tag teams in the Federation. They have the Road Warriors, okay?
Which, I mean, I love them to death. Don't get me wrong. I love everything they done back in the AWA and the former NWA a long time ago. But now, I mean, times have changed. Back in the day, I don't know, they were it. They were happening. But things became more fast-paced now. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, and plus, the Road Warriors, you see them all the time. You know who the Road Warriors are. And you can't build a tag team situation on one tag team.
Exactly.
You know, you got the New Age Outlaws who are shaping up to be all right to me.
Mm-hmm.
And besides that, what you got? You got the Headbangers, which is the 90s version of the corny Bushwhackers.
Yeah.
And you don't have any other tag teams in the WWF besides that.
True.
It's the same thing is that the lightweight division is whack.
Mm-hmm.
You got two wrestlers. You had three. You had Ivan Putski's son, I think his name is Scott Putski. Yeah, he gets the thumbs down. See you next year, Scott.
You know.
And you got Brian Christopher, who has a lot of potential.
He has potential.
But he shouldn't be wasting his time in the lightweight division because that's not something that's going to last long.
I think he would work better as somebody in the Intercontinental division. I think he would make an excellent Intercontinental champion. And it might just happen for the next couple months. Who knows? I mean, he's a big wrestler to me. I mean, he has a lot of potential. He has a lot of enthusiasm in his character.
Well, I don't know if he's going to be the next Intercontinental champion.
Well, I won't say the next, but in due time, he will be. I believe so.
And it helps when your dad. It helps when your dad like has a high place in the promotion.
Exactly, and you got cousins like the Honky Tonk Man, who was the Intercontinental champion.
Mm-hmm. Longest reigning Intercontinental champion.
Exactly. So that's their weakness, their tag team division, you would say. I think the strength of the WWF right now would be in WrestleMania 14. Because Mike Tyson will draw a lot of viewers back in that left. And I think once the viewers are there to see Mike Tyson, it's up to Stone Cold or just Vince McMahon, period, to work something out to keep the wrestling fans there to watch this organization blossom and bloom once again. The weakness, I think, of the WWF, I have to agree with you, is the tag team divisions. It sucks. They have nobody. They have the Headbangers and what's the Road Dogg and Jesse James.
New Age Outlaws.
Now, when they came to Niagara Falls Convention Center not so long ago, they wrestled in the headline main event, which I think was a stupid ideal. I left on that match. I don't know who won. I don't care because it was garbage. But Jesse James and Road Dogg are getting a little bit better here. I mean, they did the situation with the dumpster and everything the other night. So that was a pretty interesting working. So yeah, I say it's their tag team division is a problem there. Also, they're working on this now. It's not quite done, but I see them busting up these little organizations within the WWF
Nation
that
of
I'm
Domination.
sick of.
Yeah.
You got the Nation of Domination. It was the DOA, the Lost Boricuas, and what's the other one?
The Truth Commission.
Yeah, it was just this guy, Cargan or whatever. But let's break these organizations up because, I mean, it's corny and it's not going to go anywhere. I mean, the best one I think out the whole thing is the Nation Domination because they have Rocky Maivia in there, and he's coming along, you know, from where he was just a bore to me in the past, but now he has character to him. So
another character, and to me, in the organization who also has potential is Farouk. But the rest of them, like Kama, who was Papa Shango, and he came back as Kama or whatever he was called before when he stole the Undertaker's urn and melted it down into some big gold chain and wore it around his neck. I don't know about him. I really don't know about D'Lo Brown. You said before that you believe that D'Lo Brown has talent, but they, in a way,
D'Lo Brown wrestled in USWA also. You might want to make a note of that.
Okay. And plus, well, one of the reasons why they might have use for the Nation of Domination is because they have this wrestler known as Mark Henry, who they gave a multi-million-dollar contract to. Yeah, that's thumbs down on that one. I don't know why they did that. He broke his leg in his first match. He was out of wrestling for a year. I guess he went back and trained a little while and came back. His character is completely lackluster, and he is not going to survive in wrestling by himself. If the Nation of Domination break up, you can expect to see Mark Henry be one of those guys who get beat up every week.
Yep, just the way the Macho Man was there for a little while. Okay, let's move on. WCW Strengths and Weaknesses. Let's make this kind of brief because we're running short on time here. But let's start off with the strengths of the WCW.
Well, the strength of the WCW is money. And the money always brings a new talent. And the big reason to watch WCW is that any week, any wrestler could come to WCW, like Rick Rude could show up or Bret Hart could show up. But other than that, you can't really expect anything to happen because the storylines are whack. The big strength of WCW is the cruiserweight division. The guys in the cruiserweight division really know what they're doing. The top rope stuff, all the luchador style, all of that is really nice. I like the cruiserweight division in WCW, which is done far more better than its counterpart in the WWF.
Okay, let's get to the weaknesses of WCW.
Like I said, the storyline is too predictable. You tune in to WCW, you really don't have to watch it. You'll wake up next morning, you don't have to watch the show, you know what happened. The NWO came out, Sting beat everybody up, it's the end of the show.
I would agree. As far as meeting the strengths of WCW, I would have to say their strengths rely in money. Because they can do anything they want to do right now. Because they just have money, period. So I think that's just their almighty big strength is the money. And talent-wise, they had the money to get the talent, and they also have good talent there. It's just a matter of what they're going to do with it.
One more strength that WCW does have is the NWO, though. It was the NWO that like revitalized wrestling to the point where it is right now. People started watching wrestling when they found out that Hulk Hogan was a bad guy. The NWO acquired all these new wrestlers. They come out saying they're going to take over the organization and stuff like that. It was the NWO that really started to heat stuff up in wrestling again. And as long as they can keep the ideas interesting in the NWO, then WCW has something right there. Like the NWO has their slogans like "Too Sweet and for Life" and stuff like that, which really catch on with the fans. And a lot of fans go to the WCW matches to see the NWO.
All right, well, let's get to the weaknesses of the WCW. Me personally, I think one of their greatest weaknesses over there would be the lack in the use of the talent. Like you said, they need to rearrange the character of Lex Luger and work on the character of a couple other wrestlers there in the organization, like Chris Benoit. He's underrated. I mean, this guy deserves a title shot. And he's supposed to get one against DDP.
On Thunder, yeah.
So we'll see what happens with that, and you know, by the time this show goes on the air, you guys probably will already know what will happen with that match. But that's one of their weaknesses. Okay, we're gonna move on right now to ECW, one of my favorites. Strengths of ECW.
Well, I really haven't watched ECW that much. I've only seen it a couple of times. But the strengths to ECW is that it's never boring. There's something always happening. Like, it's real violent if you're into that kind of stuff. And the storylines are pretty good. Like, this dude they have in there, Just Incredible. He was the last one I saw. They showed a match from Buffalo where he was beating up on little Mikey Whipwreck, and he broke his little leg, and you don't see Mikey Whipwreck anymore. And he was beating up this one of the Japanese wrestlers last week. And I like their style of wrestling because it's real fast-paced, and it doesn't have like the law like WCW and WWF have. Like, you watch it, then they have this match, and you're like, when is this match going to be over? And that's usually like the boring match that goes on like for a half an hour. And I don't see that in ECW. Each match is a match that you could get into from what I saw.
Exactly. I mean, I love the realness and the enthusiasm and the energy of ECW. I think that's one of their main strengths is their energy in that league. The jumping off the balconies to the frying pans being passed around the crowd to the wrestlers. I mean, everything. And also remember, everybody, next time ECW comes to Buffalo, bring something with you. They have a garbage can at the door. You can sit it in there, and hopefully it'll get used in the ring. I know next time I go, I'm taking like a box of like 25 12-inch records. I want to see what happens with it. But that's one of their strengths is their energy in the league and the talent. They have a lot of good, not a lot of good talent, but the talent they do have is good. You have the Sandman, you have Sabu, you have Tuko Scorpio is back. A couple other people, and you have some pretty decent tag teams there. So that's one of their strengths. Their weaknesses, ECW, I guess I would say right now, on the business level of it, it would have to be their syndication, I guess, and the lack of it, you know, and the time.
It's just not seen.
In the time it comes on, because I mean, most people work 9 to 5, and it's kind of hard for them to be up at 2 in the morning or to
want to get up at 8 o'clock in the morning to watch it.
So it's kind of hard for that. So I mean, one plus to that league is it would make sure that the time frame that they're on is something good that people like you and me that work can see the show, you know. MCW, I know you really don't know too much about that, but strengths and weaknesses, I couldn't really go too much in that about the Music City Wrestling Organization in Nashville, Tennessee, but it's up and coming. It's a Southern League. We're pretty familiar with those, you know, from back in the day, and this one's an up and coming one. It's on locally. It's not in the cable lineup, but you have to turn to UHF. It's on channel 39 on Saturday. No, MCW is on channel 58 on Saturdays at 6 o'clock. So check that one out. And that's pretty much about it with that league. It's pretty interesting. They have some new innovative things in there, so, you know, something to look into.
And it's always good to check out the minor leagues because that's where the superstars of tomorrow come from.
Exactly.
And especially like in the South, that's where most of the wrestlers get their start from because most of the promotions are in the South. That's where Hulk Hogan came from and Steve Austin came from and Shawn Michaels came from, were these smaller wrestling leagues that were in the South.
Because a lot of people don't know that Hulk Hogan was in the AWA at one time. Also, Eric Bischoff was in the AWA, and we also have some footage of that. I want to remind you that this is our first show, and we're just chatting today about what's going on in wrestling, past, present, and future. But of course, in our future shows,
we'll have video footage.
There you go. And the next one, we mentioned about the Brian Pillman situation. That will be highlighted in it. And what will the match be once again?
We'll have Brian Pillman versus Steve Austin from this past summer. We'll also have Brian Pillman against the Nature Boy Ric Flair. And we have a match with Brian Pillman against the Total Package Lex Luger. And if there is time for it, we also have a tag team match with the Hollywood Blondes, which is Brian Pillman and Steve Austin defending the WCW World Tag Team titles. All
right. So that's what's going to happen in our next show, everybody. Let us know what you think about this show. Do you want to stay here or what? So the number you can reach us at is 629-7886, area code 716. So call us up. Let us know what you think. We'll have a P.O. box set up for the next show. Also, we'll have the video footage. And also, be looking out for our own Nitro Party. Yes, we're going to do a Nitro Party at some bar right here in the city of Buffalo. We're going to have a major beer blast, and we want you all to come out. So be looking for that, and we'll catch you the next time on Wrestling Wrap Up. This is Boogie Love. This is my man.
G-Money.
In the house, y'all. Check you next time. Peace.